Hey everybody, welcome to the Paper Note Playbook. I am your host, Zachary Lloyd, and this is where modern marketing meets business strategy, and we are happy to dive into it today. I have a guest with me, as you can see, a good friend of mine, Cody Staling from American Power Services. And what we're going to be doing is diving in and interviewing him today on his journey so far in business and what that looks like. So, you ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get right into this thing, my guy.
Awesome.
So, he's the owner and founder of American Power Services, and he's going to focus on story and strategy and the journey of building a service-based business with grit, vision, and system. So, for those of you who don't know you yet, Cody, tell us what American Power Services is all about and what you guys special in.
So now we specialize in commercial exterior facilities maintenance. That includes, parking lot maintenance as well as pressure washing, all that good stuff. Whenever we first started, we weren't that dialed in. We were doing whatever for whoever, and it was not good. But last year, thankfully, we got with the right people. They encouraged us to get stuff dialed in and really get focused on our message, focused on our key intent and product services that we offer for people. And so, once we got that dialed in, things started to be a lot easier, a lot more clear.
Yeah. And you started off pressure washing only.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then eventually you went into parking lot striping.
Correct.
So how'd you make the transfer to go into that? How'd you decide to, hey, now's the time to add on this extra service?
So initially we started out just doing pressure washing for, again, just anybody and everybody. And we're doing pressure washing for residential as well as commercial. And one of our main reoccurring contracts was with a large gas station chain here in Oklahoma. And I was washing for them one night, still owner operator, all that good stuff. And I was like, man, these guys don't have any parking lot stripes at all. And I've been working for them for probably, I don't know, it was a few months, almost 6 months at that point. And I contacted the regional rep for that chain, and I said, hey, have you guys found anybody to take this service on? He goes, no, not at all. He goes, if you're willing to add it as a service for us, we'll take you on. Send us a bid. I was like, okay. I knew nothing about parking lot striping whatsoever. And so I did what most people our age do and went to Facebook. So I went to Facebook, went to a couple groups and said, hey, I have an opportunity with one of my commercial customers. What does this look like price-wise? Like, how do I charge? What do I go about? What equipment do I use? All that stuff. And man, you had freaking piranhas from all over the country come out. Oh, we'll handle that contract for you. We'll do this, that, and the other for you. Whatever, man. But then I had two people. Shout out to Alex Jones from South Oklahoma. And then another company out of Michigan, I believe. They do the same thing. They both do pressure washing and parking lot striping in the commercial world. And so they both, private messaged me and they said, hey, this is what I would suggest, this general pricing structure. And they both prefaced it with, it's probably going to be different for your area, but this is what we charge. And they both hopped on a call with me and really coached me up and, hey, this is what I would look at charging, all that good stuff. I said, okay, cool. So I went back to our regional rep for that company and I said, hey, I'd like to look at what you need us to do. He goes, all right, here's 8 stores. Straight out the gate, 8 stores. I was like, whoa, okay. So this is obviously a lot bigger than I initially planned on. I was like, okay. Bid those 8, way too cheap. Got all 8 of them, and I felt like I'd hit the lottery because I was like, all right, cool. We can buy equipment. We can, do some learning, at least, see if this is something that we want to do. And about a couple hours later, he calls back, says, hey, my counterpart that oversees the central western side of Oklahoma would like for you to bid her stores. Okay, I thought maybe 4 or 5 stores. Now she had 11 stores. So we bid all 11 of those, went up on the price just a little bit. Didn't get too wild now.
Yeah.
Went up a little bit, and we got all 11. So straight out the gate, didn't own a piece of equipment, didn't own any paint, didn't even know what we were doing. And we had 11 stores to complete.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I drove to southern Oklahoma and met with it's Caleb Jones, not Alex Jones. Alex Jones is that conspiracy theorist guy. Caleb Jones.
InfoWars.
Yeah, not that guy. No.
Welcome to an episode.
Not that guy.
Thanks, Cody.
But we drove down to southern Oklahoma and spent a day with him, and he taught me how to do striping. And I was like, okay, this literally, it was a whole new company, essentially, of services to add.
Yeah.
And so learned how to do that, completed all 11 jobs for that company, and they were super, super happy with our services. Actually met with the lady that oversaw the central Oklahoma region, and she literally told me, she said, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here, but you really need to go up in your prices, like a lot. I was like, so like, what, 25, 30%? She was like, no, like probably 75%.
That's always good to hear.
All right, cool, awesome.
As long as I'm getting the contract, I'll go
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Yeah. And so it was great though, because I paid for my own learning, paid for our education. You came out, learned with me on some of that.
I did.
It was great.
We won't go there.
It was great, and it was a good time because I literally we didn't know that this service was really that needed. And for the area that we service, it really is. There's not a lot of people doing what we do. There's a couple out there, and we've reached out, we've networked with quite a few of them. But yeah, so that got us started into the striping side. And honestly, as just a wash company, you can knock on some doors and they're just like, okay, whatever. But if you knock on the doors and you say, hey, we offer these services, and you have a couple different services, sometimes that door gets open because of one key service that you offer. And we found that to be really true. The end of last year, Dutch Bros had us handle their western Oklahoma and OKC market for them, and it was because we offered parking lot striping.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a very big deal.
Yeah. So would you say that when an opportunity comes to knock, don't necessarily focus on not necessarily having the skill, but trying to not take advantage, but trying to make the opportunity work for you and add the skill as you go?
Yeah, so, don't immediately say no, because, in networking with other companies, maybe it's not a service that you offer, but you can offer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you can do a strategic partnership with other companies and say, hey, we have an in with these said contractors. If they ask for any kind of, asphalt work, or, they need concrete work, or they need their entire facility repainted, is that something that you guys would be interested in? And most other companies would be like, a free lead? Absolutely, yeah. I would totally take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
And so even if it's not something that you're able to take on and onboard as a company yourself at the time, maybe it's something that you could sub out to another company and still make, marginal profit and help another company. That's the main thing is, making sure you're taking care of your current customer as well as, maybe helping out another company. And maybe you make nothing off of it, but you're helping other people out.
Yeah, but there's the thing of practically, like you said, don't say no.
Exactly, yes.
You just look at it for a little bit. You don't have to give them an immediate answer. Sometimes you do.
Exactly.
But, if I'm able to say, hey, this is what we do, this is what we offer,
Yeah.
there might be something there.
So, something that looks like, last year we had the opportunity, we onboarded a business coach, and he was telling me that he had this company that they would clean for every week, and it was just absolutely terrible. They said it was a miserable clean every single week. And it was mainly where the owners and the operators of the store would come out of the store. And it was just foot traffic out of the store. And he goes, okay, hang on one second. He has to go inside and see. And the floors were just terrible. And the employees were slipping, sliding everywhere. He goes, listen, would you be okay if I just paid for this other company to come in and literally steam clean your floors? I'm not making anything off of it. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. It helps you. It helps us. And the customer was just floored. They were just like, why would you do that? Because this is an ongoing issue. Yes, we can keep coming back and cleaning every single week, and it's miserable for everybody. Or we can fix the real issue, and that is your floors on the inside need to be cleaned. First of all, he said, I never ate there again. But he said, we went in, we had this other company come in, and they steam cleaned those floors. And that solidified our relationship with that customer forever. He goes, we charge more than most other people. And he goes, now with that customer, we can charge more for however long.
It's kind of like with, Migs comes up with another principle. The insurance company we're with, they found out when Jess and I were pregnant with our first. One of their sales reps stayed on the phone with me for 3 hours, giving me not like bad advice, but different parenting tips and things for advice and all that. 3 hours of the guy's day we're on the phone chit-chatting. Mm-hmm. I'm like, bud, you got me for life. Unless you guys get really stupid, you've got me for life. Because why? You valued the customer.
Exactly. So, last year, again, we were all over the place with our services, all over the place with who we were working for, what we were doing. And again, our business coach at the time, he said, man, is this what you want to do? Or are you just doing whatever comes in the door?
Yeah.
Well, you obviously know the end of that question. We're doing whatever. And he goes, why? He goes, what would you rather do? It's commercial work every day of the week. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, if you're washing for residential people or working with residential clients, their home is probably the biggest asset that they currently possess. Mm-hmm. That being said, that is their baby. It was perfect before you showed up, and it better be even more perfect when you leave, right?
Yeah.
And you're dealing with that mentality. Nothing wrong with that. If you're honed in on residential stuff, sweet, awesome, more power to you. But for us, we just weren't not equipped and really established to do residential work. At some point too, I want to hand off all of the field work to a crew and say, hey, replicate what I'm able to do, essentially. And that is a lot easier on the commercial side than it is the residential side. The process and procedures, the systems that you have in place, so much more easy to train someone else to replace me in the field on the commercial side than the residential. There's so much more on the residential that could go wrong. You got to plan, you got to think ahead, all this stuff. Anyway, he's like, get more solid in what you want to do and start going after that. I was like, well, definitely want to just go after commercial work. So we did that. We said, okay, we're going to stop everything. We're going to regroup and really solidify what we're going to do. And so out of that came, when you pull up to a restaurant what does the exterior of that restaurant say about the owner and operator?
Yeah. If they take care of it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you drive around the building and there's just sludge just draining from the backside of the building and from the dumpster pad and all of that, what does that say about the owner and operator?
Yeah, he doesn't care.
And what does that say about their food?
It's not going to be as good because they don't care about their own lot.
But if you pull up to a place and the lines are fresh, they look crisp every year.
Yeah.
The back of their facility is just absolutely pristine.
Yeah.
Coming out their doors. They wash the exterior. There's not cobwebs everywhere.
Yeah.
It says that they have an attention to detail.
Their aesthetic
care about
matters.
And it's the same thing across the board with all commercial properties. If you're willing to put that much, money into the details, what's that say about the product that you're putting out?
Yeah, it's going to be pristine.
Exactly. And so that's been our main pitch, throwing out to commercial contractors and talking with them. The other thing that's been super big for us is, okay, we're working in commercial only. So we shouldered into building those relationships. Again, calling people, talking with them a while, like, hey, what's your biggest problem you're dealing with right now? Well, man, I just can't seem to get somebody here to, redo the concrete out front. And we've had like 4 bids and everybody keeps dropping through.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me make a phone call. I call a friend. Hey, you able to take this on? Yeah. How quick can you get to it? We can get to it XYZ. They pull the trigger. All right, I'm going to give you this contact. Call them.
Yeah.
Tell them, I sent you, and get it done for them, and do a top-notch job for them. Okay, we'll do. That's happened.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything from that.
Yeah.
But that customer knows, okay, if I don't have somebody, I know who to call.
Yeah.
Same thing with my contact with Dutch Bros. I said, hey, do you have anybody that takes care of your guys' facilities out there in, the Nevada area? He goes, man, we've been having some trouble running through some people, and blah, blah, blah. Here's my guy. Call this guy. He'll take care of you. No matter what you got going on. If he doesn't have the service that you need provided, he knows who to call that will actually get it done. And it's this network, again, just building those relationships. It's not always about making the dollar off of that customer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about just taking care of that customer.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dial back just a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The beginning.
Rough.
Yeah. What made you, what was the purpose behind it? What was the original, why that made you push over into American Power Service? Kind of what you were doing before. I know that, but our viewers and listeners don't. So let's kind of give them a little bit more of a beginning.
Right.
Like, hey, even though it was rough, this is what we pressed through. These are, share some of those things.
Yeah, so year one, I was a full-time firefighter, EMT, and I had all this extra time. And I knew I always wanted to start my own company.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what company or where to start or anything like that. And so I was like, you know what? Let me research low barrier to entry companies. Pressure washing kept coming up. It was probably the number one thing. Minimal equipment costs. You can even rent some equipment to get started if you needed to. All this stuff. And I was like, okay, that's not that bad. So I saved up some money and I bought $1,000 in equipment. And I was like, nice, I'm a company now.
Yeah.
That's the furthest thing from the truth. But I was like, finally, I got my own company started, right? And so that's when reality really set in. I mean, I felt like I knocked every door. I was telling everybody. I felt annoyed by my own self of how much I was talking about
the company.
The company and what we were doing. And so, we pressed so hard that first year. And the first year we closed out, I think top end was 8,000. And we did little jobs here and there all over the place. And again, just taking anything and everything, getting our lunch ate time and time again on this and that. And a lot of learning. I feel like that 8,000 plus whatever we personally put in, I think we personally put in another 3 or 4,000 that year of our own personal money just to keep stuff afloat. Yeah, dude, that was a lot of paid for learning, and it was brutal. And I think in learning all of that, the biggest takeaway of year one was marketing. Get marketing squared away, because we were not. We didn't have brand on point. I didn't have like our sale on point. Like, hey, do you want some pressure washing? That's kind of about the conversation we would have with people. And then yeah, and then finally getting to the point of like getting a clear-cut message defined. I think that was the biggest thing.
Yeah. So a lot of growth, a lot of hurt,
A lot of growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a brutal year. The end of year one, I was like, I don't think I want to do this at all. I almost didn't pull the trigger on year two. I just decided to. At the end of year one, it was literally December, January time. I literally told myself, I'm going to give it one more year. If I don't see any substantial growth, I'm just going to not do this again.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I can sell the equipment. Life goes on. I gave it a go.
Mm-hmm.
And so year two rolled around, and yeah, that was a wild ride. It was a lot of growth very fast. Year two, we acquisitioned another washing company, got some commercial contracts out of that. That helped. Wouldn't recommend that to everybody. It worked for us.
Yeah.
It was a very timely and God ordained thing, I feel like. Got in on that and was able to actually open the door to some other stuff, some other jobs. I heard another company, they say that when you're busy, you're being seen.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get in front of a lot of other people, and it opened the doors to a lot of other work. Yeah. So year one, brutal.
Year two, a little bit better.
A little better, still very brutal.
Year three, even better.
Year three has been an awesome ride. It's been a lot more exciting, a lot more fun. Still a lot of legwork, still a lot of just working, grinding. But we're starting to, and that's so when you start replacing yourself in a lot of different areas, it starts to become a lot more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not just trying to take everything that comes your way, but then you're like, okay, I'm going to do these type of jobs, and I'm going to go for the bigger in this area more, and this and that. Yeah. Fun stuff. Alrighty. We kind of already covered this, so we'll skip that. Marketing, branding, and community presence. Okay, how did you market a business like yours? Is it mostly word of mouth, relationships, or have you just tapped into social media and digital marketing?
I would say we need to lean into the digital marketing, social media, a lot more than what we do. Most of what we do is B2B, so conventional media marketing isn't going to be as big of a ROI. In talking with bigger companies is exactly what they say. So it's a little bit more of an unconventional social media marketing that's going to give you a higher return. The key thing that has been said for what we do and what I've been really shouldering into is, again, going back to building relationships.
Yeah.
And it's building key relationships with certain people. And so, prime example of what that looks like. So I have a relationship with someone that owns a multi-million-dollar painting company here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so now I've talked to them about, hey, you guys ever do any kind of striping work, all this and that? No, we don't ever really do that. We don't offer that. It's like, okay, well, if you guys ever change your mind, I'm here for you guys. He said, okay, cool. They called me a while back on a job that they were working on for a church, and they happened to mention, hey, we need some parking lot striping done. I was like, okay, yeah, we can totally get that accomplished for you guys. We sent over a bid, and they really liked working with us. They liked, how everything was laid out. It's very, like, we've built a structure in our bidding process to make it very clear and cut, very concise, very transparent, so that everybody's aware of everything going on. He said, okay, cool, awesome. And he called me back about a week later on a pretty substantial job down in OKC. And he said, hey, do you know anybody that does parking lot striping?
No.
I may know a fella
Maybe.
or two. But it opened the door to a really big job. Initially, we thought it was going to be closer to about a $300,000 job. Didn't quite end up being that once we got on site. I'm not sure where the numbers came from on their end. But I was like, listen, we have to bid this appropriately. I'm not going to just bid off of their number.
Yeah.
So we have software in place where we can do like a full-on takeoff, which we can do like a draw out of the entire property. Everything's measured. Be really transparent about everything. We did that for them. We sent that over, and they called us and they said, hey, just double checking everything. I was like, no, look at the site map that we gave you. That's what we're bidding. I was like, I'm not sure where the 111,000 linear foot of fire lane came from. I was like, just to put that in perspective, that's almost 20 miles of fire lane. And the contractor kind of sat there just floored for a minute. And he goes, let me get back to you. That does not sound right. Anyway, so we were able to really build like a professional stance in that arena. Another example is, we do pressure washing. We do a lot of commercial work. We also do parking lot striping. A company that is based out of Guthrie, they do a lot of pressure washing. They do commercial, residential. They kind of do a lot. And he had a company that they do work for, that they do post-construction washing for. Usually after they complete the washing, they need the parking lot striped.
Oh.
And so he called me. He said, hey, is there any way you'd be willing to come do some striping for us? Absolutely. Through that opened up us being able to handle the entire Western market for one of their major contracts that they have this year. Really big deal for us. That was a wild ride, logistically, over 43 different locations, and that was crazy. It was a crazy wild ride, but we were able to accomplish that and knock that out of the park for them. And they're talking about us handling their entire Oklahoma market as well as their Kansas market for next year.
Wow. And that's huge because you just expanded to another state at that point, huh?
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so going into that, here's a question for you. Where do you see American Power Services in the next 5 years? What's the big vision?
Big vision is to have probably multiple crews, to have multiple crews running on a consistent basis with an operations manager overseeing all of that. Our main goal that we want to push into is reoccurring work. That forces your EBITDA up. That makes you a better sellable company. Long term, I don't know that we are going to own American Power Services forever. Again, if you don't structure your business to sell in the beginning, it makes it a lot harder to sell in the end. And so, if anything, we're going to make the business very profitable, very valuable business. And we're going to give the big dogs on the block a run for their money. I think that's a good thing. Pushing back on some of the stuff that they just throw out there, I think is a big deal. We're able to, at the stage that we're in right now, we're able to handle a lot of smaller contracts as well as, push the bounds on bigger stuff. And so when you're able to challenge the market in that way, you kind of upset some people around you and they start to take notice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I like that is because you start placing your business in a position to where people are like, hey, I want to buy that. I want to buy you out. And then based off of that, you get to start writing your own ticket.
Yeah.
And what that looks like.
Yeah. Here's the dollar amount. Give me a
exactly.
Check. Yeah.
Yeah. So
no ifs, ands, or buts.
So long term, the next 5 years, I foresee us pushing well over $1 million. I talked to a company last year that he has 2 employees, 1 owner, and their top end was about, I believe it was like 5.2 million, somewhere in there.
Wow.
With a profit of about 2.5. That's what I remember. His profit, his take home, was 2.5. 2 guys.
Yeah.
1 owner.
Yeah.
Now, that guy was working like a madman.
They're hustling.
He was always working and barely took off, which is not what I want to do. But in reality, though, to be able to prove a point of like, hey, we're able to do all of this, just us, is crazy. That's lower overhead, higher profit.
Yeah.
They're mean, they're lean, and they're getting after it. And so that encouraged me in the sense of, okay, what we have to offer to other companies is we can be lean, we can offer a pretty hefty service all out the gate and still be pretty dominant in our area. There's not a lot of companies in our market that are offering the same amount of value as what we are. We have a lot of flexibility, whatever we're able to do. And so, and again, it's also working with strategic partnerships with other companies that offer other services. We're able to, say, hey, notice this, you guys need that taken care of? Absolutely. Do you know somebody? Yeah, I got them right here.
Yeah.
Get it taken care of this week.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, one more question before we wrap this thing up here. I wanted to pick this part of the brain with you. It says, what's one principle or quote that would guide you, or maybe just a principle in general, on your journey as an entrepreneur that you could give out to inspiring entrepreneurs, people that are just starting their business and stuff like that?
There's so much there. I would say it's different in different stages. It's going to be hard. No matter what you start, there's going to come moments where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why am I doing this? And that's the important part, is the why. For me, my wife, my family, we have a purpose. We have a vision. We're working towards something. Again, the main reason why we may not own American Power Services forever. Even if we do, we're going to be starting something else, and that's the why. Some companies are just your launch company. Some companies are your forever company. Some company you just build to sell.
Yeah.
You have to define that. You have to know your why, because that pushes you through some of the hardest times. There's been times where, again, full-time firefighter, EMT, and I've told people this is my second full-time job.
Yeah.
Owning and running this business.
I know what that's like. Yeah.
And so there's times where I've worked all night long and I've got meetings all day long and I've got jobs that I got to execute on all night long. And it's brutal. And there's times where, energy drinks and Jesus are the only 2 things keeping me moving, because if I sit down, I'm out.
Yeah.
And there's times where it is just an absolute grind. It's brutal. It's tough. It's tough mentally. It's like, man, what am I doing this for? But the realization of the why am I actually doing this? what's going on? Like, what is the outcome that I'm trying to go for? You can sit there and you can toil, all throughout the entire year and have nothing to show for it. But if you have a why and a purpose, it makes the hard times so much more worth it. Because there's times where I'm just like, I don't want any of this. I don't want to be a part of any of this anymore. This is brutal. But then there's times where it's just like, man, we got to do that for that person. Yeah. Or now we're in a position financially where we're able to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it changes the trajectory of your family. Because, yeah, it'd be easy just to be full-time firefighter, EMT, have my 2 days off, go enjoy it, kick it with the family, do nothing.
Yeah.
And then go show up for shift and be like, hey, this is my only job. Like, dude, that's easy. The hard thing is taking the bull by the horn, actually grinding this thing out.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Sometimes it's not very easy. Yeah. But knowing your why helps you push through that. Another thing that has helped me was we talked about this before, was getting around people who are so much further ahead than you are.
Yeah.
Specifically in your own industry. Because you can watch YouTube, you can watch all of these things and see all these people going like absolute, like these overnight successes or whatever.
It's what it seems like, at least.
Yeah. But when you actually spend time with somebody and even pay for that time to be with that person, of like, hey, you're doing what I want to do. What's that look like in between where I'm at and where you are? And they'll be honest with you. Like, we had a coach last year. He's like, dude, I've hit some moments where I just broke down and cried. Like, it just seemed like everything just freaking collapsed all at once. And we had to rebuild from there. And he goes, but I learned why it collapsed. And I'm learning to not do that again.
That's valuable, getting in the room with people that are so far ahead. Like I told you recently, we got in the room with somebody that was so far ahead. He goes, I'll give you 5 minutes of my time. I was like, oh, perfect. So I'm not going to charge you or anything. Some of these people, they charge stupid amount of money, like we've talked about before. Yeah. We'll get on that level. Guy did $120,000 a day with one client. That's a good place to be in. Maybe a little bit older than me. $120,000 a day. And I'm like, okay, you're in the same niche I am. What makes it, how? Mm-hmm. And then he asked me one question, what makes you different than everybody else? And I think that's so valuable, because you can be in something that's very saturated and still stand out, because you have to be different. So find something that makes you different to where I stand out above everybody. Yeah, there's going to be a ton of pressure washing companies and striping and sealing and everything else that, But what makes us as American Power Services different? Yeah. Stand out.
See, that's another thing is, so there's a couple different companies that do similar work to us in our area. And I've reached out to all of them. Some of them just kind of, hey, go kick rocks. I don't want to talk to you. You're my competition. I go back to that song by Forrest Frank. There ain't no competition. It's just me on me, man. I'm just out here, baby. Me on me. Out here I'm trying to beat this down to make me better, right?
Yeah.
But I've contacted them in the sense of like, hey, you guys do something we don't. If I get a call for this, I'm going to kick it your way if you guys are okay with that. Because, again, I don't want no part of residential.
Yeah.
Just don't. Oh. Not us.
Been there, done that.
We can do it.
Yeah.
We have the equipment. We're able to. We absolutely crush it. We just don't want to take the time to go chase after that. Yeah. We have other stuff. I mean, we've got some numbers we're looking at doing. Yeah. And so, that's where we're after right now. And so, again, it's our clear, focused, concise mission that we're going after. It's our vision that we're going after. And so that's been it's been valuable because there's been times where, you know, I'll have my guys out washing and something just goes wrong. We won't have a part. They forgot something at the shop, whatever. And I could call that company and be like, hey, do you by chance have an extra 50-foot hose that you could run up to my guys?
Yeah.
Or do you have, you know, some extra O-rings? Or do you have this or
Yeah.
that? They're like, yeah, let me check. And they'll run it up there to my guys and get
Super
them taken
valuable.
care of. And it's just that working relationship. They've called me and they're like, hey, do you by chance have this chemical that we need for this washing job? Absolutely, dude, I got you. They've also called me to come in and just work for them because they couldn't handle the capacity of the work.
Yeah.
And we've come out, and again, there's times where it's like we earned nothing off of doing that for them.
Yeah.
Except for that working relationship.
Wow.
And I think that's, in the beginning, you're so like hungry for trying to build it and like for the money to build the top end and your pocketbook on the side of it. And sometimes you forget and you don't even know, like, this thing is more about building those relationships than anything.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy last week sometime. He's into commercial flooring coatings. That's not even on our radar. We don't even dabble in any of that whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Never had a customer ask me about that, you know. Yeah. And he was talking, and again, he does numbers that are crazy. I mean, he's pushing multiple seven figures a year in just commercial floorings. And I was talking to him about it. I was like, what got you into doing all of this, you know, because obviously you weren't always here. He goes, actually, I was doing this on my own for a long, long time. Stepped away, had some personal stuff, stepped away, went into doing it for another company, and then got onboarded with this company. And he said, the funny thing is, all of my old contacts, all those old relationships that I've built have helped me in this industry. He goes, so he's talking about the company that we have a working relationship here in Tulsa that does, you know, millions of painting a year. I have a working relationship with them. And he goes, man, there's been so many times where I've called them, hey, I need somebody for this. And they send a crew right out and they get it just knocked out of the park. He goes, that stuff's invaluable. It's like, it's all those relationships that you build through the process, through the journey of it. And again, you know, this week I've been kind of like trying to take a step back, regroup, getting ready to like kind of slow things down for the season. I've probably gotten more phone calls the last couple months than I have over the last 3 years.
Wow.
And it's stuff that's coming to me rather than me chasing after it. Yeah. It seemed as soon as I took the foot off the gas pedal a little bit and just try to focus in on taking care of the people that have taken care of us, that's when stuff's been coming in.
Wow. That's wonderful.
And it's sometimes, so I wish somebody would have told me this. And even if they did, I don't know that I would have listened, but I wish I would have. It's a slow burn, and you kind of want it to be. There's companies that just take off and they just shoot through the moon like in a year's time. And awesome. If they have the experience and the structure and the employees and the systems in place to tackle all of that, awesome. More power to you. Hope you make it. There's other companies that do that, and they go so fast in such a short amount of time. They can't handle it. And they literally implode. I was talking to an operations manager this morning, and their company did that last year. They went over after a massive, massive job last year and forgot about all of their other contracts. And it's literally eating their lunch this year. So, yes, there is a time where you're going to step out and it's going to be uncomfortable as a business owner. Like, it's going to be a stretch. We're going to learn. And you can handle it and knock it out of the park. But you also have to gauge that and making sure you keep the people that have helped you get to this point taken care of.
Yeah.
because there is a point of growing too fast.
Yeah.
And when you're first starting out, sometimes it doesn't feel like, no, I need to grow as fast as I can.
Yeah.
But no, there is a point of growing too fast, and you can't handle. So.
Well, thank you, sir, for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And look forward to doing this again.
Yeah.
That was an episode of the Paper Note Playbook, where modern marketing meets business strategy. So do us a favor and subscribe, share, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye-bye.